Hello, today's episode number 110 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses casino safety. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Washington. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it on my last episode, I went over more on Can You Guess Who Controls Slot Machine Odds from my weekly live Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Virginia slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session. Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? My name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel that helps you master casino slots so you can win your way to success. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. If you're here with us live, be sure to say hello and ask your slots-related questions. I'll get to those later in the show. Today we're going to be diving into casino safety first. Followed by the risks of playing online slots. And I have a bit more about another topic similar to this. Hopefully we'll be able to get to it. Just to say hello to people in the live stream very quickly. I usually get here a little bit earlier, and so I've said hello to most. But I saw Robert from Arizona is here, from Surprise, Arizona. Welcome. And Michael is also here from Colorado. So I never did find out. Was it you, Michael, that asked about the Colorado? There's something on the ballot. I wasn't sure if that was a city, municipality, something local, or if it was a state ballot, and exactly what was it, what changes they're trying to make to the gaming regulations. Never did find out. All right. And Jan got missed by hurricanes down in Texas, so we're all happy for that. Getting on with the show. Ultimately, each of us is responsible for our own safety, wherever we may be. To me, this means I expect casinos to have operational security in place, and also from my perspective as a slots enthusiast, that I know how casino safety functions. I decide if casino safety is sufficient, just like you need to decide. And if not, find another casino that has a satisfactory casino safety. This topic is my attempt to logically walk through general patron movements and their most common actions when visiting a casino. I'll also assess and discuss any potential points of vulnerability in casino safety. It is not intended to instill any sense of fear. It is my hope that this topic will assist players, will assist slots enthusiasts to develop situational awareness within the casino environment. Naturally, I'll be emphasizing gambling by slot machines, whether they are inside or outside of high-limit slot rooms. So what I'm going to discuss is how slots players carry cash, how casino security and the services they provide exist, how crime impacts a casino's reputation. We'll take a look at some of those crimes. I got a new feature where I can share a screen and we'll look at some stuff. And probably the most important thing, if possible, is to bring a friend to watch your back. So are you ready? Comfortable even to request a pair of security guards escort you to your car, to their car, where they drive you over to your car? Are they ready? Are you ready to have a dozen strangers? Are you ready to have a dozen strangers standing around while you win one taxable jackpot after another? All these topics and more to be discussed so slots enthusiasts are fully aware of their own safety. Personally, I enjoy my time at a casino better if I know and believe I am safe. Why? And this is not unrelated to, pandemic. One of the things, there's a couple of reasons why I haven't gone to a casino as much these last few months. I've been, but I haven't gone as much. And one of the reasons is safety. It's not, it's health. That's the safety concern. The other thing, which is just as important, is what would I learn during a pandemic, and would it be something that would be helpful? I suppose it depends on how long the pandemic lasts. So I was hoping it would be over by now and it would be like a thing in the past. But anyway, so why develop this situational awareness for the casino environment? The answer is simple. Slots players carry cash. Unfortunately, even the possibility of carrying cash can be attractive to people having a criminal intent. Again, this is not intended to instill fear, but to point out a hard truth. Gambling is a cash business. At some point, when gambling via slot machines at a casino, players are carrying around some cash, their bankroll, as we like to call it. With this cash in their pocket, they may have parked in a nearby parking structure, then used its elevator to reach the casino entrance. Or maybe they didn't arrive at the casino with cash, but instead withdrew it within the casino from an ATM. However, a player actually arrives at the casino floor with their bankroll, there was a time and distance across which they were carrying cash. Now, casinos work incredibly hard to provide as safe an environment as they possibly can everywhere a patron may enjoy gambling in their establishment. But how? Consider what happens when winning a taxable jackpot. Players can ask to receive a check or some combination of check and cash. In my experience, it just doesn't happen. People don't ask for that. I don't have poll numbers or data, but I don't know, did I ever see it? I know I did it once, but that's only because the casino refused to give me $40,000 in cash. I don't know. When I won the car, they only gave it $20,000 in cash and a $20,000 check. So, I'm trying to convince myself to do more checks. In all my time in casinos, winning and seeing others win jackpots, only once have I seen anyone request a check instead of cash, and that as I said, that person was me. So, and that was only for winning the car. But poker players have a good solution. Bring a bag for your personal items, including cash. Yes, it'll have to be examined by security upon entering the casino, and yes, you'll have to keep an eye on it at all times. Maybe that's easier, for poker players because they might be sitting at a table for hours and they can maybe not bouncing from, going from slot machine to slot machine. But as far as poker goes, everyone has one, and it's inconspicuous. So it would be odd not to have one. So what casino safety services are in place exactly? Where should a player park? Say in the parking structure or by using the valet service. Or perhaps top-tier players should park in the priority parking spots often provided to them. I don't know if you've seen a few of those sometimes in a parking structure where it would be next to the door, next to the elevator. What about when leaving the casino? What if you won a jackpot, but you didn't happen to park via the valet service or in priority parking? How exactly do you get from the site of a jackpot to your car in the parking lot or structure? How much cash is it going to take before a player starts to feel a little nervous? For me, all my initial taxable jackpots made me nervous, even when the largest was only $5,000. But I told myself it's simply been a long time since I'd seen that much cash. If you've decided to go home and you're uncomfortable about how much cash you're carrying, press the service button for a slot attendant. Once they arrive, just tell them you need security to walk you to your car. Let's say that you're relatively alone in an area of the casino floor, and suddenly you need help. In practice, players only have 3 real options: press the service button on the slot machine they're sitting at, or get the heck out of the area, or yell. Yell. A worst case scenario for that, the absolute last thing to do is to get into a physical altercation. Yelling for help is all that is needed in a casino environment, as it both acts as a deterrent to the attacker while simultaneously bringing assistance. Remember that security cameras have multiple views of every area of the casino. While it may take a moment for security to get to you, it's all recorded. So there's no question that individual and family safety is important to you. Certainly. Well, hang on. There's something I wanted to mention. There's I'm trying to remember what state it was. Retired police officer, yes, Illinois, retired from Illinois. And he was telling me about a sting operation they had where, the point here is the casino is a very safe environment. And his point in response was, well, don't let anybody follow you home. It's really obvious when somebody follows you. This is not James Bond stuff where you never see them. You make a turn, they make a turn, you make a turn, they make a turn, you make an extra turn and they do that one too. And then you just go to the police station. Because this Illinois police officer, he says, had to track down a team that was following people home after they had won, and rob them in their home. Now, like I said, it's easy to spot these, but one of the things that he mentioned, which I thought was interesting, and it kind of goes with somebody else. I'm getting a lot of comments lately, particularly on YouTube, which is wonderful, as long as they're not terrible, but usually they're wonderful. And one of them was someone was upset about he would go into the casino and gamble, and his wife would stay in the car. And the police officer that I was talking to from Illinois, who had, tracked down was part of a team that tracked down these people going to the Joliet Casino there, the Casino Harrah's Casino in Joliet, I think it is. It was in Joliet. I think it's the Harrah's. And he said that's what they want casino security to look for, is somebody just sitting in the car watching. To avoid this sort of thing. So the casino does what it can at the casino, and trying to protect you ways that you see and ways you don't see. But there's no question that individual and family safety is important to you, but it's also important to the casinos. As an incident wherein a crime is perpetrated upon a casino patron has equally serious consequences for the casino. Possible damage to a casino business includes a loss of reputation and income. This can occur both with the patron or patrons involved in an incident. Damage can also occur from patrons as a whole if or when the incident becomes public knowledge. It's become public knowledge in several ways, including news reporting, word of mouth, and possibly even through gaming regulatory requirements. Ohio's Casino Gaming Commission, and I have a link here, which I will drop into the live chat and later add to the show notes for the podcast for those of you listening, and also for in the video description. And so Ohio Casino Control Commission is the legal authority that regulates gaming for casinos only in the great state of Ohio. Ohio is I don't think there's anybody quite, I know there's nobody quite like Ohio, another state, but I don't think anybody quite does what Ohio does, which is they have two gaming commissions, one for the 4 casinos and another gaming commission with the exact same laws, run by another control board called the Ohio Lottery, and that controls the slots at the racetracks with slot machines. So 2 gaming commissions. And while the laws are not quite exact, I should say the enforcement is not quite exactly the same. What the Ohio Casino Control Commission provides are gaming and crimes statistics, gaming crimes and statistics quarterly on their enforcement tab. Because that's part of the state government. And this is where they provide crime statistics. And So if you knew more about what crimes took place, how many of them took place, wouldn't you be interested in that? And I don't know of any other state that provides this information, but you might consider it to be typical of other places in the United States. I do, and it gives you an idea. So I thought I'd share that with you. And we're going to try something new here. And I think I will go to full screen. And it takes about 20 seconds for everything to become real. There you go. And let's take a look at this. Right. So this is the Enforcement Gaming Crimes and Statistics at the Ohio Casino Control Commission. I apologize that this is so small, but it's going to get smaller, because if I click on the link for fiscal year 2020, which ended at the end of June, so we have a whole year's worth here. This is what it looks like. And so this section all the way to the left is the crime. And there are some summaries, but it goes more than a page. And then you have the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. So I'll just read some of this to you, because I'm not sure that I can really zoom so much. There's something I want to look on the far right, and there's something I want to look on the far left. And I don't really have a way to zoom to see both of those at the same time. But if you were to look at this first column, it says charge description, and then each of these columns has the 4 casinos are in Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, Toledo, and they have a total for that quarter, and then you have a statewide total on the far right. So I'm going to talk about a charge description, and then I'm going to talk about the statewide totals, just to give you an idea what some of the higher level, what some of the crimes are. So just this first one, for instance, is assault, and there were 3 in the state. Total, there were, for 2020 fiscal year, there was 393 crimes. Now, some people were charged with more than one crime, so that's not 393 people, almost 400. So some of these crimes would be cheating. And it's specifically called out in table games. 3 people did that. But there's these others, cheats at casino game, and then there's an E2, cheats at casino game, E5, E7, E8. So there's basically 5 different ones that has something to do with cheating. And if you look up this last page, which talks about Ohio laws and rules, what is it? And I'll get past this. I have my enjoyment of statistics, and maybe you don't. But E2, 5, 7, and 8. E2 was cheats at a casino game. 5 was places, increases, or decreases a wager on the outcome of a casino game after acquiring knowledge that is not available to all players and concerns the outcome of the casino game that is the subject of the wager. That sounds like a table game to me. Something similar for 7 and 8, claims, collects, or takes an amount of money or thing of value of greater value than the amount won in a casino game. So there's all of these. And, is there anything else here? False ID, 25 of those. That's a pretty big number. Criminal trespassing, 52. And let's see, criminal trespassing, another, for those that are on the voluntary exclusion program, where they can't go, but they did anyway. There was 36 of those last year. And that looks like it's the highest numbers. Another high one is operation of an illegal casino. So some of this is not at the casino. 71, the biggest one, 71 thefts. So I'm not quite sure what the legal difference is between burglary and theft. Where burglary, there was only 1. Well, I don't want to dwell on this too much. Putting it back on the screen, and hopefully nothing crashed. So it's this new software I'm trying out is better than the last software where it did crash. So I wanted to share with you what some of the criminal statistics might be. Leaving these things to the imagination can, be hard. And just wanted to show you real data. So I'm going to take this moment and look at all the comments and check out the comments. So where did I leave off? Nye is here. Hi, Nye. Or I should say, and Jason is here from Jackson, Michigan. Welcome. Let's see. All right. Where are you? Where's Jackson? Somewhere. I'm from here. That's Paul is from just south of there. Chip likes to gamble over there. Okay. So Chip looks like he has a question, so let's go through some of this. John, I recall getting a hand pay in high limits. As the cash was being counted out, I became aware of someone standing to the right, phone recording everything. Security came in and escorted them out. My understanding is that it was the recording. I've seen people standing there not doing that. And I write about this in my book, Learning to Win, available on Amazon, where you have a gut feeling. And I believe in that gut feeling. It's served our ancestors well. It got me born, is how I put it. And situational awareness is important. And sometimes these people, you don't worry. You look at them, and your instincts are, they're having as much fun as I am, that sort of thing. And then you look at somebody and they look like a straight up person, on the surface, but then you look at them and you're just like, I am scared of this person. Something's off. And that's the sort of feeling that you get comfortable with. So we can talk about more incidents, but I don't want to necessarily do that just now. One of the things that can be a problem for that, Chip, is we do have to give them our Social Security number, to fill out the form. I think that's still necessary. It's a W-2G, that the IRS needs I've had people like lean in. It was maybe not obvious to the person doing it, but I was just like, I had to bring the, point that out to the slot attendant and kind of lean over. And it was just so, my instincts went off on that one. And so I'm just like, mind if I write it down for you? That sort of thing. And so there's things to watch for. One of the things that I'm trying to figure out a way to sort of put into the program is, not very long ago, we went through my 7 winning strategies, right? And one of the things I've tried to point out here is that, going into a casino and losing all your money and leaving, money you'd planned on losing, and maybe you won some, but you spent that too because you would, that's what you were there for, to have a long night and enjoyable time. Well, if you follow some of my stuff, you're going to start winning. And depending on which casino you're going to, because it's more about the casino, you can do everything I say and you might not win because the casino isn't doing that sort of thing, like during a pandemic. But the idea here is for you to win, and winning might be a new situation for you, winning so much that you have to go home with cash. So this might be new for you. And so I want to bring up consequences of winning. I got to write an article about it or something. Consequences of winning. You get a hand pay. Somebody could watch you. What are you going to do? Slot attendant might take care of it. You might have to say, can I write down my Social Security number so that I don't speak it out loud? It's, you can do it quietly. It's a noisy place, but if they're just like, leaning in on you, reminds me of an old Cary Grant movie, where it's just like, Jason is here. I think I already mentioned Jason from Michigan. They're talking with Jan. Okay, greener pastures. Did I miss something? I don't see it. All right. Let's see here. Nye says I always be aware of who is around him. Yeah, right. Just a thing. You don't have to be from Flint, Michigan to know that one, but It does help. That's where I'm from. So Jason says wife enjoys Turtle Creek. He's in Michigan. He loves Soaring Eagle and Firekeepers. Yeah, we've got some fans here who may speak up. Catherine from Oregon is here. Excellent. Greener Pastures. Greener Pastures asked for a police escort. Yep. Depends on the services that are available. Sometimes it is, I guess, I don't know if I've been to a casino where the security was police. Right. So Catherine mentions that, let's say you don't go home. Let's say you're on a trip. What do you do? There's a hotel safe. If you're staying at the casino hotel, use the hotel safe, right? These are just what you do. And it may be new to you because, you're winning now. And Jason says it's nice to see people from coast to coast and Hawaii. We have had people from Australia and as well as United Kingdom. They don't seem to be on today. We switched times months ago now from 2 p.m. in the afternoon to noon, and it became not a good time for 7 hours ahead, 5 hours ahead for Eastern time to the United Kingdom, and that just became the wrong time for getting kids off the school and some other things, or coming back, etc. Nye says he once found counterfeit money stuffed into a slot machine. Yeah. Cincy is here. Excellent. That I felt like I was in a new situation, going from just sitting there, spending $500, waiting until it gets, bringing in $500, waiting until I get to half of it, and then going home. My goodness, that was really different from winning 7 taxable jackpots and, accumulating $10,000, mostly in hundreds, and realizing, or another time when I won 27,000 and just, took the cash. Like I said, I took the cash. This is why I've changed my mind about the cash. You don't have pockets big enough. What do you do? Ask for a brown paper bag? Maybe you get a check instead. Carrie is here. Hello, Carrie, from KS Star. Joyce is here from Maryland. Don't worry, Joyce, why be different? Everybody else comes in a few minutes later. We end up with like 4 times as many people towards the end of the show. I mean, at the beginning of the show, I'll usually say, like the video, and, 10 of us do. But if I say it now, where there's 30 and in another half hour, we'll have, 50, then or double what we have now. Like the video, it'll pull more people in. The YouTube algorithm will make the announcement and show it to more people, and they'll show up. All right. So questions. Carrie says, when I won my $25,000 jackpot, I took a check for all except $2,000. Still hadn't someone watch us when we went to the car. Perfect. Jason, do you think the 7 strategies work with tribal casinos? Absolutely. Since they don't have to follow state guidelines, it's really not that big of a deal. We've sort of touched on this occasionally, but I think it's a common question I'll answer a lot. Even the commercial casinos don't approach the theoretical payout limits that the state requires, because it's not a good practice. Slots players are very sensitive to the theoretical payout limit. And if it were to drop to the state limit, it would be awful. I mean, I hear these myths out there about use the volume control, and no one says whether it should be turned up or turned down, and you'll have an 8.2% increase. And I'm just about fall over in shock. And people look at me like they're surprised. And I'm like, 2% will be like, something's obviously going on here. I'm winning so much. 8%, it puts it over 100% on most machines. That's winning every bet. The only danger is for a pandemic where a tribal casino could be stupid and reduce the odds of winning to, 50%, 25%, 0%, because there's nothing saying they couldn't do it. But it's just stupid because it's so obvious when 2% is reduced. If you're listening for it, feeling for it, you can tell when that happens. But if they reduce it to that, everybody walks out, and businesses can't afford people to leave. Yeah. So let's see. Plan to hit Firekeepers at 4 a.m. tomorrow after big event. Okay. Excellent. Let us know how it goes. Michael says, interesting warning, but never was asked to tell a serious. Really? There have been times, it wasn't every time. And maybe they've gotten better, because I remember when I was at university over decades, the number that we had, our student number, was our social security number, and it was on every sheet that instructors got, and then they switched over to having their own numbers. So I've had to do that. Although it seems like more and more it's being written. My last one at Foxwoods, was during a high limit slots poll being put on by a bunch of recreational podcasters, and there's a whole big crowd. It was 50 people standing around, and they got the one jackpot. I accepted the W2G. Just 1 out of 100 that year, and everybody was like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that." I'm like, "Yeah, these craps table game players, they don't know what a W2G is." Anyway. Yeah, so that's what to watch for. I'm glad. It's an obvious thing not to actually have to say it out loud. Nice says, it's sad to say my winnings can fit in my wallet. They will come, all right? Richard, whose name is handle is Greener Pastures. Chris. Sorry. I saw a man with $283,000 playing craps at Firekeepers one weekend. He took it all in cash in paper bags at 2 a.m. If you want to do it, you can do it. Chip says, hope run into you at Firekeepers sometime. I will be wearing a Professor Slots shirt. Oh, speaking of which, we are at 950 subscribers on my channel. And I know about how many I get per day. So by the next time we meet, I will have 1,000, and 1,000 means that I get more capabilities, more features available to me as a YouTube creator. And one of the things what 1,000 gets me is the ability to both advertise. Not that I will be doing the advertising, but people advertise on my shows if I choose to do that, and I might. We'll see how it goes. But I also get to sell stuff, and I get to sell shirts and hats and stuff like that from a store. Now, it may not be next weekend because they have to do some approval processes, and it might take time to get that all completed. But that shirt that Chip's talking about is something that I'll have more generally available. Right now, it's professorslots.com/swag. SWAG, but later on in a week or so, it'll be more prominent on the YouTube channel right there on the front page for Professor Slots, youtube.com/Professor Slots. Well, this is going longer than I thought, but it seems like there's some good questions here. Fanny pack. See, I couldn't bring myself to suggest a fanny pack, but that would work. Right. Yeah, that's, I do wonder where the origin of this came from. There's only one machine, one button on the machine that you can fiddle with. And of course, there's going to be something that comes out that says, you can do something if you fiddle with that one button. I don't believe it for a second, particularly when you have a volume control. Have you ever seen, a switch? There's like 2 wires on it. What's that going to do? I just can't believe it. And 8% is way too much. Even if it's just the bonuses, it's way too much. And finally, technically, everything's set on a class 2 on a class 3 slot machine, which is a lot of what we play, unless you're in Oklahoma and some other tribal casinos, and everything's figured out at the time of the bet. You push the bet button. Everything after that, you're just along for the ride, including bonuses. So I don't believe it. But if it increases your enjoyment, I don't want to take that away from you. Right. 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 Okay. Looks like we're clear on some of that. My goodness. That was a lot of comments. Okay. So we've gone over the crimes, Ohio gaming crimes and statistics, listed quarterly, and then they put out a report annually. So I'm trying to provide for 3 years now. Last week I finished reviewing Wyoming Slots Enthusiast, where Wyoming Slot Machine Casino Gambling on its own webpage. And I have gone through, and next week will be Alabama. I have gone through all 56 states, territories, and the federal district 3 times. Now starting my 4th time on Tuesday, starting my 4th time through. And this is an online resource, and it's getting a lot of attention from Google. Any one of you have a 2% chance you might be interested in if I were to pop up one of those, because there's so many different states and so few people that it's always going to be 2% would be, if I were to show you one article, it might apply to you and there's a 2% chance. Yeah. So not an 8% chance, a 2% chance. So each week I have this researched article and I'm putting them out there, and I make a YouTube video, but I don't put it on YouTube. I put it in the article only because, like I said, it's not popular. It's just needed by the group of slots enthusiasts from that group. So that's to show you what's unique about your state, and see what's going on with, I do one a week, and it takes me about 13 months to get through all of them. So it's in a year and 13 months, a lot can change. So as slots players at slots, players focus on a row of, getting back to casino safety, players focus on a row of machines while having limited peripheral vision. They can see directly forward where their attention is fully focused. Sometimes people sit sideways, but nevertheless, there's behind you is behind you. It is quite possible to be completely unaware, even if someone sits down within a couple of chairs on either side, because sometimes we do get very focused. I know I do get very focused on playing the slot machine. The best practice on being safe at a casino is to simply take someone along who can stay alert and watchful of the surroundings for a player while they face the slot machine and bet. Plus, if the player's friends want to play, the first player can then watch their back in return. Best time, this was wonderful to see when I had my first night of winning 7 taxable jackpots ever. I've had more than one in a day, but that was the highest I had, and it was after returning to slots playing after not playing for 10 years, more or less, just thinking about stuff and trying to figure it out, what I was seeing. And Bubba, a truck driver, Bubba, not his real name. I think his real name was something like Mike. Bubba was on the other side of the room, and we were sort of like yelling at one another, and I'd be like 3 and he'd be like 5 and I'd be like 4, my 4th taxable jackpot. And he'd be like, 5. And I'm like, oh, I'm catching up. And then he'd pull ahead. So he ended up with 10 that night and I ended up with 5, but it was a fun experience. But he had Dustin, and Dustin took care of him. Anybody would walk up and, interrupt him. It was just a gatekeeper, right? Just, that's the person that has come up before, and this is the person with the drink, and this is the, just sort of handle it, because otherwise it's just interruption after interruption when you're that kind of aggressive player. And it worked for him. And Dustin and I had many conversations, and one of them was, John, you really should go update your players club to go to a higher level from the lowest one. Like, really? Is that a good thing? He's like, yeah, I think you should. And so that took me up to 4th tier because I'd just been playing. And then about a week later, I did it again to 7 stars in my 6 weeks to getting to 7 stars. And Dustin was part of that. Great couple of guys. So I thought it made the whole thing interesting. It could be a spouse instead, where you trade off. And I've certainly been talking to you guys a lot about, you and your wife, or your wife and you, and about how you go together and using the same player's card, and other questions have to do with sort of group gaming. So a companion can act as a guard whose mere presence prevents the attempt of criminal activity. Playing slot machines isn't like table games where a casino employee is facing the player and the player is likely part of a group of gamblers. If you are alone in a casino, then you'll need to trust and listen to your instincts. They are far more honed than most people understand. Our ancestors have left us with a legacy of amazing survival instincts, whether we are consciously aware of them or not. So when relatively alone and someone walks up behind, take a careful look at them. How do they make you feel? What does your gut say? Whatever the feeling is, trust it. So, that's my best advice, is to go with someone. And if you can't go with someone, if you don't go with someone, trust your gut. And, I had one guy, I got attention when I played, even though I tried to not get attention. There's signs that are there for people to see. I put my card in 20 to 30 seconds later, the host, comes at me, and there's a crowd of people kind of around, or it's a busy day or whatever at the casino if I happen to be there. And, they all sort of like, oh, I had a question. And, why is she walking away? Isn't she supposed to be helpful? She was coming to me and asking if there was anything I needed, and maybe she took care of them on the way out. But people who watch see that. And I've had people, get so upset when I won a jackpot. They're like, people come by and they're like, I was going to win that if I had gotten that machine, and you took it from me. And I'm like, what? No, that's not how it works. But that doesn't matter. Some people get upset, and they, trust your gut, and go with someone if you can. So casinos are very safe places. Players probably don't need to worry about their safety at most of them. However, with like Your Honor, it's intrinsically more important to you than anyone else. The best practice of being safe at a casino is to simply take someone along who can stay alert and watchful of the environment and surroundings for a player while they face the slot machine and bet. Plus, if the player's friends want to play, the first player can watch their back and return. But be careful about being extravagant at a casino. I hope it doesn't take away from your fun. Casinos reserve the right to kick out anyone it isn't necessary, I think, to keep an extraordinary. It isn't necessary, and sometimes not even possible, to keep an extraordinarily low profile. While amazing things happen, I may have gotten a little emotional when I won the car, but $100 tips to the beverage servers on a whim is easily observable by others. Not to mention overacting after winning jackpots with exuberant screams that can be heard throughout the casino is less than discreet. Again, I don't mean to change how you play, but I'm kind of more warning you that as you become successful, because you're here and you're listening to the stuff that I say, as you become more successful, things you don't know about will start happening, having to do with success, assuming that you haven't had a hand pay. So many people, since I put out those videos on winning strategy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, have come back and said, after a holiday, tomorrow morning, I think it was maybe Terry who said something, or was it Jason, about, tomorrow morning going to the casino early after a night of a big event. I don't know. Have you ever had a hand pay? You know, maybe some of this stuff we're talking about today will help you. Again, you can do the best you can from the stuff that I say, but it does depend on that casino having that business practice to be taken advantage of. But the idea here is that things that have never happened before will start happening to you as you work and study and work to make this happen. So I'm going to check back in. There was some scrolling by of lots of comments, and I'll try to make this brief. Let's see. All right, so yep. All right, so that we caught up with Jason and yep, fanny packs. That's right. That's where we left off, fanny packs. Yeah. So one of the questions, comments was, I would be happy if I could fill up my winner's bank. Says, and I forgot. I have something here. Yeah. So now it's on the video, maybe a little bit late, but so I have this ability to comment, show your comments now. And one of the things was Jason is saying that, or Terry is saying that I'd be happy if I could fill up my winner's bank. How much does it take to fill up your winner's bank? I'm working on a video now to start understanding how many bills and demonstrating how many bills will fit in either the winner's bank. Let's see here. Can I do that? Audio problems. All right, lovely. I can't hear you, or rather I can't hear myself, and I don't know when I'm, all right, I'll have to fix that. All these new things, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Okay, so winner's bank, gambler's box. And I'll be doing videos about how much each one of those holds. It's a lockable box with a slit in the top, and you can leave the key at home. And that's what we're talking about here. Jan says Wednesday is the end of the month. Let's see here. Show that. Jan is Wednesday is at the end of the month, which is better, Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, or does any end of the week matter? So the end of the month has to do with the gaming, the return statistics being reported to the state if they have to report any. If it's a tribal casino, they have to report to their bosses, the tribal council, and either one of those could be an interesting time. I would check each. The end of the month is the end of the month. Okay. So midnight of, 30 days in September? Is it 31? 30 days in September. And so it would be October 1st, the morning of October 1st. But that depends on if that casino is doing it. Now, what's interesting is that the last October 1st is the first day of the new quarter. So it's not exactly the end of the month. It's the end of the quarter. And that is a particularly good time, but only if, again, as we've talked about, Jan and I had a consult. What matters is you learning this stuff and then seeing if the casino does it to be taken advantage of. So check. You got 4 times a year to check. And it's a good reminder that October 1st is the new quarter. And often there's monthly reports to the state, but there's quarterly reports for the business. And either one of those, if they have to make an adjustment, I would imagine that you would want to go before the end of the quarter, because they can't make adjustments on the first day of the new quarter. That doesn't make any sense. They would want to make final adjustments before midnight, before the end of the quarter. unless we're talking about something else. I mean, there's still promotions and there's still the next morning and stuff like that. Right. So Jan's an advanced user. So she, last time as well, was it time before, asks kind of advanced questions, but it's something where not everybody is kind of there. The course that I'm making, I've gone through a lot of the material with her individually, paid and free, as well as Chuck and a few others, but it can be a bit much if you're just getting started. So the course, don't worry about these subtleties for the course. The course is designed for most people and to get you up to speed. And then I'll have something else that I'll offer later, which I'm also working on, which would be more of the so let's talk about you. Let's talk about your state. Let's talk about so you know all this stuff that we talk about in general, but now, focus on you and do that in a group fashion. And that'll be a second offering, which, I'll be sitting there talking to you. Right. So promised to make this short, but it looks like HHR. So Cincy Dark says HHR games, which exist at like Charlton races, and is that West Virginia or Virginia? But it's also in 3-4 places in Kentucky, and they're looking to expand. The one place they want to expand to is Florida. So HHR games have been closed? If you go to Derby City, if you go to Red Mile and you're standing facing the bar, then if you look to the row of slot machines that are on the right side of the bar when you're looking at the bar, the last slot machine, the one closest to the wall, not on the wall, but facing the bar, does that make sense? Is the one that cycles bankrolls. And success at Red Mile and Derby City, it's on the left side, but that's from somebody else, not from my playing them. It's on the left side of the bar, and I don't know which machine in that row. But winning at those locations is bankroll cycling. You don't win a lot, but you win constantly and you don't lose money. So be prepared to go to the one where you want to have a higher tier level in the Players Club, because that's what winning is at those, and that's how you do that. If it's not your goal, that's the only way I know how to win at those is to cycle bankrolls and go up in tier level. Hopefully they have something you want. Nye says, don't drink too much. I think that's a fine piece of advice, but I am not trying to make sure people do that. How long is it polite to put, Carrie says, how long is it polite to put your chair up? I've seen people do that for 3 hours. Slot helper would not put it down. Yeah, they put themselves in a hard position. What I've seen at a Caesars Entertainment property, Horseshoe, is the chairs are bolted to the ground, right? That doesn't help you. But if you want to lock the machine, you can call over a slot attendant. They can put their card in. They could lock it for you. The only way to get it unlocked is for you to put your card in, but it only lasts for 15 minutes. People have to go to the restroom. They want to keep the machine, and I can understand that. So the rule, the official rule is 15 minutes, but it may not be, your casino, of course, but 15 minutes is what major casino operators do. 3 hours, no. I mean, what makes, they could just go home. I can see the slot helper having to, be put in a tough spot on that. Yeah, I'd say 15 minutes, but what can you do? You could call over a slot manager and you can point out how long it's been. The slot attendant may not have the authority, but the floor manager, he's got the authority to do what he wants and do what's right. Sue. Hi, Sue. I don't know that I've seen you before. Is it better to go to a casino on a Friday, Saturday, or like a Sunday, Monday? Monday morning, Sunday morning, sometimes Saturday morning if it's early. It's one of our winning slot strategies. What is it, 5 and 6 or 4 and 5? And so the reason you're going is what I try to explain. So go back and look at watch some of my videos. It's the holiday patterns or the promotional events. Basically, the morning after a promotional event is probably the best way to look at it. Car giveaway, on a Friday night, go Saturday morning, that sort of thing. Short answer, but other longer hour-long videos if you want to care to watch that. Right. Carrie says, I timed a chair because I wanted to play that machine. The lady left her mother guarding the machine. So that is why I know the 3 hours. I thought it was a bit rude. Absolutely. It was 15 minutes, you're not going to dinner. but on the other hand, that wouldn't be happening if they didn't know they could get away with it. And the casino, particularly these times when, like Ontario, I mentioned this in a pre-show comment, Ontario, the province of Ontario in Canada is opening up their slot machines, their casinos, on Monday, and maximum of 50 people. You have to make a reservation, and you have to be there 15 minutes early to get a machine. And like I said, maximum of 50 people, no food, no drinks, no table games. And if one of those machines is just sitting there idle because somebody's gone for 3 hours, the casino's not going to like that. This is now is the time when when you have a limited number of people in a casino. Now is the time when the casino would be most upset about that. But you can make a fuss, and I don't mean so much as a fuss as, talk to the floor manager and say, this is what's going on. They have the vested interest to keep money flowing on their side. Okay. I think Chip is trying to answer some of Carrie's questions too. Hey, Magpie 11. Good to see you here as well. So we have enough time, maybe, for me to talk about one last thing, which is online slots. I didn't even get to online slots. There's two, and I'm going to, since I got like 4 minutes, I'll put the transcript. We'll have more, but what we're talking about here is there's two kinds of online slots: those that you play and those that you don't play, more or less. Then there's a confusion between people, like BC Slots. When he doesn't go to the casino and he's goes on a green screen and he's playing something that's on the screen, it's obviously online. That is not for real money. I mean, you spend money, you don't get money. Well, you get money, but it's not real money. It's virtual money. You can use it in the game and you cannot withdraw it. This is social slots. You can play them on Facebook. I got to level 1,000 in Caesars Entertainment's version of that. I won $1 billion once. Pretty happy with that, except of course I could only use it in the game because I thought it was a little bit shifty of them to call their coins, their in-game money, dollars, but it wasn't US dollars. It was just the word dollar. So, you could win a lot and then that allows you to keep playing. You spend they will give you like $2.50, $3, $5 every day to spend. And then it runs out. And if you want more, you have to buy, or you can wait till the next day. And I just thought that, that's fun. But once you start attaching your bank account and pulling $5 every 20 minutes, by the end of the day, you spend a couple $100 and with zero chance of any of it coming back to you. But it's just pure entertainment. It's just fun. There's easier ways to get a Netflix account or something for $10 a month or $12 a month. There's easier ways to spend money. So the other thing is online slots for real money gambling, which is very popular outside of the United States, very possible outside of the United States, but even it's better outside of the United States because it's an industry. All right. There's safeguards. There's the gaming regulations apply. Here it's just New Jersey. I don't know another state. We're not talking about sports betting here, although, we're getting more popular, but we're talking about slots, online slots for real money gambling. And in United Kingdom, you've got these online casinos, I don't know much about the regulations and gaming regulations and how they apply, but here they don't have any, and that's just worrisome, except for New Jersey. Well, actually, I don't know if New Jersey has that either. It's all very tenuous. And but what you're watching for is the people, we talked about on the social gaming, you give them your bank account information, and, because you're giving it to Facebook, maybe that's not so much of a problem as far as your identity being stolen. But if you give it to this, international online slots company who demand that and your social security number or whatever it takes to do whatever, and they're shifty, that's the risk. And that's something that you want to be very, very careful of. And we don't have the safeguards in the United States. We don't have the gaming regulations, and we don't have an industry. It's all very new. And what the United Kingdom has, for instance, is all these watchdog agencies, all of these, businesses that have started saying, I will review and verify and check every gaming one. And if it's on my list, then it'll be it'll be the approved list. They build a top 10 list or some such thing. And that is nothing like what we have in the United States. So it needs to mature. And at some point we might have something like that, perhaps by first getting online sports betting and then moving to other things and having some of that. But right now we don't. And because we don't, it's not safe. Yes. Just because it can be doesn't mean it should be. Chumba is on the list. Lucky Land Slots is on the list I was looking at before as being one of the ones that's verified. But it also doesn't mean that verified means it's not a fly-by-night, that it actually is a real company that won't not exist tomorrow. And that's fine, but that doesn't have anything to do with whether the odds are good or not. And also, and I kind of went into this in the material I'm not presenting, it's not skill-based. Physical casinos have reasons to keep the crowds to drive in, to stay, to eat, to drink, to gamble. Don't get near the doors. Try to persuade them to go back to the slot machines. There's all this business practices that take place in a physical casinos, none of which exist on online slots, and they have no reason to provide it, right? So it's luck-based. And there's no advantages to take advantage of. In fact, it might not even be truly luck-based. It might actually be to their advantage. You just don't know. It's a computer screen. And there's no regulations and there's no breaking of any laws if they were to do that. All they have to do is just make sure you don't lose so much that you don't come back. Yeah. Not that you couldn't win, but it's not safe. Okay, so I will talk to you later. Have fun, be safe, make good choices. Bye. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Washington slot machine casino gambling in 2020. Here goes. Washington slot machine casino gambling consists of 31 tribal casinos with a unique type of electronic player terminal based on scratch tickets, controlled by a statewide tribal lottery system, TLS. All state tribal compacts set a minimum theoretical payout limit. However, no return statistics are publicly available. The minimum legal gambling age in Washington depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, it's either 21 or 18, depending upon the casino. For poker rooms, bingo, the lottery, and parimutuel wagering, it's 18. Washington's player terminals at tribal casinos are based on the lottery's scratch ticket games in electronic form. This unique form of slot machines makes Washington slot machines unique in the United States. All other U.S.-based lottery terminals are based on draw lotteries, not from lottery's other game, Scratch tickets. 29 tribes originally negotiated tribal state compacts to offer gambling at tribal casinos. However, the state and these tribes could not agree whether Vegas-style slot machines should be legal in Washington. Scratch-based gaming machines resulted from early negotiations of these gaming compacts. This impasse resolution led to creating a secondary lottery system for player terminals at tribal casinos. The state lottery was a model for the TLS. Draw-based terminals create tickets at the time of the bet using random number generators, RNGs. However, scratch-based terminals know in advance the result of each wager. Put another way, the outcome of each bet is predetermined and do not require an RNG. Another technical difference between lottery draw tickets and scratch tickets is how many of them can exist. For example, there are as many draw tickets as players are willing to buy. However, lotteries create only a limited number of scratch tickets, but hopefully enough for a busy night at a Washington tribal casino. All negotiated tribal state compacts also have other legal restrictions for their scratch-based terminal-style slot machines. These limits have been expanding over time as part of the state's dynamic gaming industry. The requirements are: allows replaying of credits won, no handles, no mechanical spinning reels, a minimum payout return, $5 maximum wager on 85% of VLTs, $20 maximum wager on 15% of VLTs, and a cap of 2,500 VLT machines per tribe. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In Washington, it is legal to own a slot machine privately if it is 25 years old or older. The Gaming Control Board is the Washington State Gambling Commission, offering licensing, regulation, and enforcement of certain aspects of the gaming industry in Washington. Their regulatory responsibilities primarily include testing and approving new electronic gaming machines. Further, each tribe with a casino in Washington has a tribal gaming agency, TGA. Agents of the TGA are the primary regulators at tribal casinos. At all times, at least one TGA agent must be on duty at a tribal casino. In this section, I discuss Washington gambling establishments. There are 31 American Indian tribal casinos and multiple cruise ships based in the state of Washington. The largest casino in Washington is Muckleshoot Casino with 3,125 electronic gaming terminals. The second largest casino is Alani Casino Resort with 2,500 electronic gaming terminals. The state of Washington has no commercial casinos with slot machines. The state of Washington has 31 tribal casinos. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list and map is on my webpage for the state at professorslots.com/WA. As an alternative to enjoying Washington slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Washington is, to the north, the Canadian province of British Columbia, to the east, Idaho, to the south, Oregon, and to the west, the Pacific Ocean. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit professorslots.com followed by its two-letter postal designation. For example, my Idaho slots article is available at professorslots.com/ID. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Washington? If so, join our Washington Slots community on Facebook at professorslots.com/FBWA. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Washington. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, professorslots.com/FBWA. Join us. The TLS directly controls the results of Washington's unique terminal-style slot machines. TLS's central computer system provides the outcome of each bet made on each terminal at the time of the wager. This off-site control extends to any bonus rounds. All tribal state compacts in Washington established a minimum theoretical payout of 75% for slot machines. Further, no return statistics for slots are available to the public. In summary, Washington slot machine casino gambling consists of 31 tribal casinos with electronic scratch ticket, video player terminal slot machines. The state-run tribal lottery system, TLS, controls the results of all bets off-site from the tribal casinos. Tribal state compacts have set a minimum theoretical payout of 75% for the unique terminal-style electronic slot machines. No return statistics are available to the public. Over the last year, Tulalip Resort Casino, with its 2,400 gaming machines, has dropped from second largest casino to third largest, replaced by Ilani Casino Resort with its 2,500 gaming machines. Further, 2 tribal casinos have opened within the last year, including Kalispell Casino in Cusick, located 53 miles north of Spokane, and Spokane Tribe Casino in Airway Heights, a few miles west of Spokane. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Feel free to stop by anytime during my hour-long live Q&A session. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of West Virginia. That's the end of another episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/episode 110. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.